Apps can do a lot of cool things. You could order dinner, gamble on your favorite team, and track your health. You could even get a mortgage. One click and you can be approved. I'm not sure by who or what country they're in. You deserve more from the mortgage industry. At AnyMac Home Mortgage, we believe in the need for live human interaction during a very complex process. The kind of service and guidance which an app simply can't provide. Our customers are more than credit scores and income documents. They're individuals and families who live in and strengthen our communities. Their story is our story, and that story begins in a home. Chris Sawyer is an expert on providing superior customer service and in meeting the mortgage needs of current and future homebuyers. With over 18 years of experience in the industry, Chris is able to help customers migrate through the home buying and home financing process by using his wealth of knowledge as a well-qualified mortgage professional. And best of all, Chris is located in Cromwell, Connecticut, where he has helped hundreds of clients in Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island make their dreams of homeownership a reality. Visit chrissawyer.any-mac.com. Email him at csawyer@any-mac.com or give him a call, 860-878-8730.
Chris Sawyer, NMLS number 39345, corporate NMLS number 338923, AnyMac Home Mortgage, an equal housing lender, American Neighborhood Mortgage Acceptance Company, LLC, DBA AnyMac Home Mortgage, Lo-Fi Direct, Connecticut First Mortgage Correspondent, License Lender, Broker Number, ML 338923, Massachusetts Mortgage Lender and Mortgage Broker License Number, MC 338923, Rhode Island License Lender, License Number 201128110L. Call for additional details.
Jones on first down, wide open, it's Barkley, and Saquon Barkley will take it into the end zone.
Your best ability is availability. Saquon Barkley, he's great when he's on the field, but the problem is since 2018, he hasn't been healthy for this team.
Look at this, they lob it to him, he taps it in off the glass. How about that?
Porter Moser, I think right now is the best coach in college basketball, hands down.
Vince 2 for 3, he's done his part.
Pitch is drilled to deep right field toward the pole, and it is gone.
They don't mind not being what they were in the 90s as the best organization in baseball, because the Yankees aren't even close to the best organization in baseball.
You're trying to be the Rays, and the Rays do this for a reason. Like, you're the Yankees.
Welcome to Sports Talk with R&J. I'm Steve Risser, along here with Justin D'Onofrio. And it happened on Monday night. Uconn won their 5th national championship in program history. They beat San Diego State 76-59. A dominant run in this tournament. They won every game by double digits. And what a run for Dan Hurley. Justin, you're the big Uconn fan, so I'm going to get your thoughts first on the national championship win on Monday.
Yeah, 5 years ago, never thought that UConn would ever be back on the stage for how down in the abyss they were. Monday night, another struggle there. San Diego State hit some tough shots there early on, very contested. But then after that, they held them. San Diego State went 11 minutes without hitting a field goal. UConn kind of settled in. San Diego State's kind of game plan there was trying to attack the paint, and that did not work at all. And, with Klingon and Sanogo been so good down low lately. They're in their offense, kind of got worried there late in the second half when San Diego State cut to 5. Hawkins hits that huge shot, and that was pretty much the ball game right there to get it back up to 8. This whole kind of tournament, they blew everybody out, and the last 3 games, they held each of their opponents under 50 points. The last team to do that, and the only other team to do that, since the expansion 85 was the 2014 UConn team. So, I know some people say, oh, UConn kind of got lucky with their run and all and some of the draws in the year, but they blew out everybody they faced. And this looked like the team that we saw in November, December, where they blew out Alabama, where they blew out Iowa State, out in Portland. It was just a dominant effort. And again, Hurley built a fantastic team and I think, and that's the tough part nowadays with the portal and so much movement. He built the right type of guy. He got the right type of guys for his system that bought into their roles, didn't complain, and the roster construction was great, and they fit together. The pieces fit tremendously together, and huge credit to him and the rest of that staff because this team. Nobody was really able to figure out this team outside of Big East play.
Yeah, and the thing you talk about them, people saying they got lucky because they really didn't face a lot of top teams in the tournament. But if you watch this team at the beginning of the season, especially when they were out in Oregon, They blew Alabama out. They beat Alabama by 15 points. They beat Iowa State, a tournament team, by 18 points. So we, as UConn fans, we saw this coming. We saw that if this team gets into the tournament, this team has got a great chance to win a championship. We said this after Thanksgiving. I knew after Thanksgiving this team was absolutely a national championship contender, and I even thought that when they were struggling in the Big East. Now my concern was Hurley in close games, and that's why I didn't pick them to win because that loss to Marquette really kind of. My loss to Marquette was big in my decision for not picking them to win the national title because I didn't trust Hurley in close games. Now I felt like that was a game that they were the better team against Marquette, and that was a game I felt like they should have won. But luckily for them but for them, I don't want to say luckily, but for them in this tournament, they were so dominant that they didn't have to win close games.
Yeah, they didn't. Yeah, they blew out everybody again. This team was now 2 points to Iona going the half in the first round, and it was kind of like, oh boy, is this the third straight year UConn's going home in the first round? But yeah, they were bounced back. They blew out Iowa in the second half, and yeah, it just seems like the Hurley in close games again. It's the record's not great. It's like 5-38 with 5 points or less. It's not great, but yeah, they didn't need they blew everybody out, so it didn't matter at the end anyways. But yeah, just the way. But I thought he did a good job because after halftime was kind of right when they started to kind of find their form, and especially early on, in the tournament. It was after halftime they kind of found it. They made the right adjustments. He does run a lot of really good sets, and I think that you don't really know. I think, especially in tournament with a short turnaround, I don't think, unless if you've seen it, I don't think coaches really know what to expect. Like, I think Mark Few was like, good luck planning for 48 hours, I think Randy Bennett kind of said like the same thing. That's like, just good luck on a short turnaround to try to plan to stop this team. Cause it is tough when you don't see it. Cause again, anybody can go off at any given moment.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you could have, Sonogo, Hawkins, Jackson. You got Calcaterra who could hit 3-point shots. Newton, even Klingon playing well off the bench. Yeah, anybody. Yeah, pretty much anybody can go off at any moment. And facing this team, in the Big East, teams kind of knew what they were. And then but when they played out of conference, not only did they win every game outside of the Big East, they won every game by double digits outside of the Big East.
Yeah. The closest one was Oklahoma State with David, and that was a 10-point game. Yeah. Yeah, they and even in their wins in the Big East, like their closest win all year was 6 points against Georgetown. Right before Christmas. Like everything else was, they won by more. So, yeah, they didn't really, when they won games, they kind of won games handily this year. And, yeah, again, that's, the teams kind of or in the Big East, yeah, I think teams kind of knew Hurley, kind of know what tendencies he likes to run. And even with the team, they, but it's such a physical league. It was tough. Like the Xavier Province back-to-back was tough. Like the month of January was a pretty tough schedule for them. But yeah, they figured it out. Again, it was the defense back in January that was really suffering. And again, as I just mentioned, their last Miami, they held to a season low. Gonzaga, they held to a season low. The Gonzaga team averaged 89 points a game. They held them in the 50s. Like this, like the defense, they really figured out the defense. But again, it helps when you got a guy like Klingon and just absolutely bothers everybody when he gets inside the paint.
And it helps Kevin come off the bench too. So it keeps Sonogo fresh as well.
Yeah.
It definitely helps have him come off the bench.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great point because last year he wore down at the end of last year. He did not have much left in that tank in that New Mexico State game because he was playing 35 minutes a game last year. He didn't have much left, especially him too because that dude plays so hard every set. That guy doesn't have he's always in fourth gear. Like So yeah, for Sonogo, it really helped him this year that they did have a clean behind him. He could get more rest, especially late too, because again, he was playing around, during Ramadan. He was fasting most days. I know for the Final Four, I think he was able to eat a little bit for the game, but during the Sweet 16 weekend, again, that's got to be tough playing a game that big, and you can't eat or drink until halftime or even after me for the Sweet 16 game. So it really helped that they had clean behind Sonogo this year.
Oh, absolutely. And there were two kind of turning points of the season. I think one of them was that Xavier game, because even though that Xavier game was a loss, I felt like they almost won it, and I felt like that turned things around. That started their winning streak. That started their streak. That started them winning winning 9 out of their last 11 going into the tournament. So I think that was the start of something. And then I think the game that gave everyone hope again that they could win a national championship was that Marquette game. when they had the best team in the Big East come into the XL Center and they beat them by 15 points. That day, I felt like things were starting to turn around. This team is back to what they were when they were playing in Oregon in November.
Yeah, absolutely. That Xavier game, being at that game in that second half, that was the loudest I can remember ever hearing Gamble. I know, like everyone says, the 06 against Texas. I wasn't at that game, but that Xavier second half, that comeback, that was the loudest I've heard that place in a long time. That was a tough one because the second half, they kind of figured some things out. I felt like, especially offensively. And then, that Marquette game, they got out to like that 20-2 start. They handled them from start to finish. And I'm with you. Like that game kind of was like, all right, this team's got a chance here to go on the run. The first 30 minutes of Providence, the game at the Garden in the first round, it kind of felt like, all right, this, this team looked great, but then
they started reverting back to some of their old habits from the middle of the season. And then the Marquette game, they played pretty well, but Hurley not calling the timeout. They started to revert back to things that hurt them in the past as well. But in this tournament, they were absolutely dominant and didn't even need. I mean, I say the game on Monday night was close was close in the second half, but they made the big plays before it got really close at the end, like Hawkins hit that humongous three. And at that point, I had a great feeling that they were going to win. Yeah,
when Hawkins hit that three, it was kind of a sigh of relief. Like, all right, they're going to find a way. And that's what UConn guards have done over the years in the tournament. They've been cold-blooded, and then Hawkins delivered another one, which is awesome. Yeah, San Diego State kind of held around, kept fighting there. They didn't go away, and that's kind of what San Diego State does. They're down 14 Saturday night against Florida Atlantic. Like that team doesn't go away. And they fought for as long as they could. They just didn't have enough offensive firepower to just keep up. And UConn most of the night just made each of San Diego's shots just tough one contested. They did a great job defensive, not really giving them anything easy, and that's what they did most of the tournament.
Oh, absolutely. They did a phenomenal job defensively. You even said it. I think they held every team under 60 points. Just did an absolutely phenomenal job defensively, just all tournament long. They may have. I think Arkansas scored 64, so held everyone under 65 points. So did just a phenomenal job defensively, just all tournament long. But we got to get to the coach, and that's Dan Hurley. And right now, the big question is where do you put him? How do you rank him within the coaches in college basketball? Do you put him top 5? Do you put him top 10? In my opinion, I think he's top 10. I think the only coaches right now you put ahead of Dan Hurley in college basketball, obviously Bill Self, 2 national titles. I think you have to put Self ahead. Tom Izzo, he's won a national title, but he's been to a bunch of Final Fours. Rick Pitino, he's won 2 national titles, and he did a really good job at Iona, and we'll see what he does at St. John's. Scott Drew, he won a national title, and he rebuilt a program that was a disaster. You probably know how big of a disaster that program was when he took it over. That's another story for another day. You could probably just talk about that. But that program was a disaster before he got there, and he built them into a national champion. And then I hate to say the last one, but I think you just have to say John Calipari. I know Calipari, in my opinion, I don't think he's a great coach, but with all the iconic coaches that have left, Roy Williams, Jay Wright, and Coach K, you probably have to put him in the top 5 because of how great of a recruiter he was, and he did win a national title. So I do put Calipari. But those are the only 5 I put ahead of Dan Hurley. I have him as a top 10 coach. I think you arguably could say, with the way he rebuilt this program, he's a top 5 coach.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you have to put him because, as you mentioned, there's only 6 active coaches that have won a title. There's,
and those are the ones I mentioned. Those are all the ones I mentioned.
The only one you didn't was Tony Bennett at Virginia. That was the only other one.
Yeah, but the problem with Tony Bennett is he's been good so many years, and he has 1 national title, and he plays this same style all the time. He never adjusts. He plays this same style, and he gets up and he gets upset in the first round of the tournament. You saw it this year. You saw it back in 2018. He's one of the few. He's only one of 2 coaches that was a 1 seed and lost to a 16 seed. So it's hard for me to put Tony Bennett ahead of Dan Hurley.
No, I hear you. No, and he's like right there. Yeah, I put him top 5, top 10. I think Bennett's a very good X's and O's coach, but yes, in this era with the 3-point shooting, like their pack line defense does not really stop teams from hitting threes. Like it's more of kind of protect the paint, protect the middle, the floor, and that's kind of their problem. And yeah, he needs NBA guys, and they didn't have any on that roster. That's kind of the problem with Bennett. But yeah, going back to Hurley, yeah, you got to put him in the top 5, top 10, because yeah, I have to put those. Even though I'm not a big, as you know, Calipari, I'm not even a big Izzo guy. you're not gonna like it. I compare him to Jim Boeheim 2.0.
Really? Wow.
He's got one title in 3
Yeah,
years.
but look at how many Final Fours he's made. He's made like 6 or 7 Final Fours.
You can't run into a second one.
I know. I get it. But
I know it's hard.
But a lot of those big games, was he the better team? Was he the better team against North Carolina? Was he going to win that national title against North Carolina? No. Was he the better team against Duke in 2015? No. And was he the better team against Duke in 99? No. So a lot of those times, was he the better team against Carolina in 05? No. So a lot of times in those Final Fours, he didn't even have the better team. Yeah, the one game which was an issue was the one against Butler. The one he should have won. He should have gotten back to the finals in 2010. He should have beaten Butler. Yeah. I'll give you that. But a lot of those times in the Final Four, he didn't have the better team.
No, I guess he doesn't. Usually when he makes a run, it's his teams are 6, 7, 5. Usually it's when his teams are like top 4 seeds, they get upset early. It seems like Izzo, it's like he does better when his team's more of the underdog than they are the favorite. I don't know if it's more just relaxed. I don't know what it is, but yeah, some of it's when his team go on a run. Yeah, they're usually not the better team, it feels like. But look, yeah, Izzo's got to be up there. There's only 6 others, so I got to put him in the top 10. Porter just really showed that Oklahoma, I really like him. I think he's one of the best X's and O's coach, but you can't win there. There's some other guys that are at mid-major levels that I really like, but I'm not going to put them in the top 10, top 15. But, if they go somewhere else and kind of win, yeah, I'll put them up there. But yeah, he's got to be considered the top 10, top 15. Again, people rave about him in the industry, and I see it. He runs some really good offensive stuff. He's kind of admitted that he's got to stop with the referees, and that's the big issue is he's got to worry about his team and not the officials. And I think he's done a better job of that. I think even Calhoun kind of said, because he is kind of like Calhoun in the stubbornness. But again, you could be stubborn, but you do have to adjust. You do have to make changes. It doesn't make you less. And
Calhoun made changes.
Yes. And I think Hurley's starting to do a better job of that. I think at times last year, he never trusted his bench at all. He just wear down his 5 starters because he didn't trust anybody on that bench. At times this year, he will trust some of the guys off the bench.
He definitely did with Calcaterra, with Klingon, with Aline. Mm-hmm. He definitely trusted those guys off the bench.
Yeah, so I think we're seeing Danny grow. And now that he's won that championship and kind of the monkey now can be off his back, maybe he is more relaxed in tighter games. Maybe he does kind of execute more because, again, when he's nuts at the end of games, that's your team's going to react to how your coach is. That's the thing. And, that's kind of the one big concern I've always had with him. But again, hopefully now that the champion, he's won it. Now, hopefully he kind of get that off his back and hopefully, there's some improvement in that. But yeah, I think Hurley's starting to get better. And I have seen him change. And I like that he's kind of hopefully done fighting with the officials so much.
Yeah, and I think if he can get to that, if he could, get better in close games and then maybe win another national title in the next 5 years, he'll get to that, Bill Self, Tom Izzo, Rick Pitino, Scott Drew. He'll get to that level because I think he's very good. I don't think he's great yet, but if he wins another one and he gets better in close games, I think he definitely will get to that great level.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he absolutely will. And, he's got a great staff behind him too with Tom Moore, Kiami Young, and Luke Murray, who both should probably get head coaching jobs. I would love to see them on the staff for as long as possible, but I think at some point those two are going to leave, and I think both of them are very good. And Moore's got a head coaching experience and was with Calhoun, so I think it helps that he's got a great staff around him too. But yeah, I think he's doing a good job. Yeah, if he can win one more, which the next 5 to 10 years, which the class has got coming in next year, and Hurley's relentless on the recruiting trail. His assistants are as well. I know Kiami Young, Young and Murray are 2 of the best assistant recruiters in the country. So, they're really, they're going to continue to get tagged. And the thing is too, the way Hurley knows the guys he wants, and again, and I think the in the last point too is in this day and age where, because Danny's more old school, but you could be old school if you show the players that you love and you care about them, then the players are going to be okay with you being old school. I think sometimes some of these coaches don't understand and don't build that relationship, and that's where you cause problems.
And that was the problem with Knight and Boeheim. I think especially Knight at the end of his time was it didn't seem like he really cared that much about. He was old school, but didn't seem like he cared as much about the players. It was more about him. Same with Boeheim. I think it was the same way. I think Hurley's old school, but I think as he's learned from his father, who was I think the best high school coach of all time. his team is a family. He cares about his players. That's why I think Hurley could be old school, but I think this is really going to work because he cares about the players, and the players definitely shows that the players care about him too.
Yeah, absolutely, they do. And he's like a giant kid anyways. You saw him tossing up the confetti like he's a kid. Like he's a kid. And I think you can relate to him, So yeah, absolutely. I think that's a huge help. And yeah, you mentioned Boeheim Knight. Yeah, I think those are two problems, sometimes, again, I think maybe Izzo maybe a little bit trending towards that.
And your football coach is starting to trend that way. We'll get to that though.
Oh yeah. That that too's not helping things. Yeah, it's just you got to evolve, and I think Hurley's done an unbelievable job of that. And he knows he can identify guys. He knows what guys he wants, and those guys buy in for him.
Absolutely. And you talk about the recruiting and how great the recruiting class is, and UConn has Stefan Castle, one of the top recruits, coming in next year. The big question is should UConn be the favorite to win it all next year? You saw ESPN's way too early top 25. They have UConn number 1, and really Jordan Hawks is the only guy we know is going to be gone. Andrew Jackson might come back, and I think he should. He needs to become a better scorer and a better shooter. I think he needs to come back. Sinago, there's a chance he could come back. And you even said there might even be a possibility Newton might even come back too. But he might not even start because this Stefan Castle guy is a top 15 recruit. He's supposed to be phenomenal. You're probably going to have Klingon back as well. You're going to have Kieran back. So should this UConn team be the favorite to win it all next year? In my opinion, I think they should be. Do you think they are?
Yeah, they should be. Again, with the transfer portal and so many different, moving out, like there's already 1,500 kids in the portal. Like, you could build that like St. John's, I think, is going to be the top 25 preseason. They're not right now. People don't have them, but when Rick Pitino gets his guys, they will absolutely be a top 25 team. I'd say them, Marquette. People put Duke, and I see why, because they have another amazing class, but like, I don't know. And it sounds like maybe Filipkowski may stay for second year. But yeah, I think UConn's going to be right there with Marquette. Because yeah, with that class he's got coming in again. This kid, the center, who I thought was going to be more a project, you say Syndergaard, he's playing overtime elite. He's averaging a double-double. And those are all kids that are mostly going pro. And he's dominating. So, Jalen Stewart, another kind of freak athletically. Like, the class he's got coming in, absolutely. And yeah, Newton's got 1 year left. He's got the COVID year if he wants it. But yeah, I think Sanogo's gone. I think Hawkins is pretty much gone. I saw Klingon go in a mock draft in the first round.
I don't think he should be going. I mean, he had a really good year, but he can't shoot at all. So he couldn't even shoot in high school. So there's no way he should be going. Or that would be a huge mistake for him to go to the NBA draft and not play next year at UConn.
No, and I don't think he will, because I don't think he's in a rush to get out of here. Like, he's from Rosa, like he's from Bristol. Like, I don't think he's in a rush to leave UConn. Like, I don't, again, I don't know what the NIL stuff is, but I have to imagine he's getting a good chunk of NIL just being a hometown kid. I have to imagine. So yeah, I don't think he's in a rush. I think he'll be here for at least one more year. He took threes during warmups, and he's got a pretty good stroke, from what I've seen.
I'd like to see that stroke next year. I really would like to see that stroke next year.
Yeah. So I think we will. I think he's going to be more dominant than Edey could. I really do, because I think he's already a better player than Zach Edey.
Edey couldn't shoot at all. That's why Purdue went out in the first round. Yeah. Edey couldn't shoot, so teams could double him and kick it out. And he had to kick it out to the guards, and the guards couldn't shoot at all in that FDU game. Yeah, I think he's going to be more dominant than Edey, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm with you. And he runs the floor so well for a guy 7'2". Like, he runs the floor really, really well. So, yeah, I think Clean comes back. I think this team's going to be right there. It's one of the favorites, and then they should be. They're going to be right there. And we'll see what I think, what is it, like the last 9-10 years? I don't think the last year's champion I don't think he's gotten out of the I think the farthest they've gone is like a Sweet 16. Like so we'll see. We'll see what they're able to do. But yeah, they should be one of the preseason favorites come next November. It's going to be a fun team to watch, and a lot of excitement right now. And Hurley's gonna Hurley's got this thing humming, and it's the right time too, with everybody else coming to the Big East coaching wise.
Absolutely. Now the final question is UConn a blue blood? This has been the question for a while. Is UConn a blue blood program like Kentucky, like Duke, like North Carolina, like even Indiana, which if they're going to consider Indiana a blue blood, they better be considering UConn a blue blood, because the last title Indiana won was back in 1987. That was 36 years ago. I mean, so if they're going to consider Indiana a blue blood, they better consider UConn a blue blood. And I think UConn is a blue blood, because since Calhoun's taken over the last 30 years, they've been really successful. Because even before they won national championships with Calhoun, they got to a couple Elite Eights. We remember 1990 when they lost at the buzzer with Christian Laettner. Remember 95 when they lost to UCLA, and that team ended up winning the national title. Mm-hmm. And then 96 they had that legendary game with Allen Iverson and Ray Allen. That was a legendary Big East tournament final between those two teams. And then 98, the year before they won the title, they got to the Elite Eight too. So they got to like 3 Elite Eights before they even won a national title in 99. And then they win it in 99. They win it in 2004. And they very easily they should have won it in 2006, or should have at least gotten to the Final Four in 2006. That team was loaded with Marcus Williams and Josh Boone and Hilton Armstrong. That team was loaded, and Rashard Anderson. That team was loaded. So they should have gotten to a Final Four that year. They got to a Final Four in 09 and probably would have gotten to the championship game if Jerome Dyson was healthy. And then 011 they won, 014 they won. Yes, they had that bad run. I think part of that, and I think that's where the question is. That's where people question UConn as a blue blood, is that run they had and them going, 7 years without a tournament win. But I think the big reason for that was they got out of the Big East, and the other reason was they probably had one of the worst coaches to ever win a national title in Kevin Ollie. And he proved that, knowing how far that program sunk in 2018. When that program hit rock bottom in 2018, Kevin Ollie pretty much proved why he was one of the worst coaches to win it all. But Hurley getting back in the Big East, which was huge. We talked about that last week, bringing this program back. So for me, I think UConn absolutely is a blue blood. Oh, yeah, they absolutely are. And I thought even before this run, I thought they were still a blue blood. They've won 4 times. They had 4, now it's been 5 in the last 24 years that they've won. I mean, the thing is now that this one is a little bit more relevant, because if you talked about the 4, you're kind of living in the past. It'd be kind of like talking about the Yankees 27 championships, the Patriots 6 Super Bowls. You're kind of living in the past because Hurley had nothing to do with the 4 national titles. That was Calhoun. But this national title, this is now completely relevant, and this gives Hurley a ton of credibility, and I think this program is clearly a blue blood. Yeah, because you think about it, the last 3 coaches have all won a title now. Even though one of those coaches, a lot of that second one, that fourth one was a lot of those were Jim Calhoun's players. They were. Jabad Nabriel. You know what? Somebody sent me this. He actually congratulated UConn on Twitter. On Instagram. He had a post saying, yeah. So. Did he post something? I didn't see if Ollie posted. Ollie, posted something about, congratulations to the guys. So, yeah. Wow. Maybe that one guy realized, like, maybe it was time. I don't know. Yeah. But hopefully maybe at some point, next year will be interesting with the 10-year team. Exactly. If he shows up for that. That'll be interesting. But, going back, you kind of should be, because there's only 3 other schools that have had, that have won 3 national titles, at least with 3 different coaches. That's UNC, North Carolina and Kentucky. Yeah. And the funny thing with Kentucky is it's kind of similar, though, because when Tubby Smith won his title in 98, that pretty much was Rick Pitino's team. Yeah. So it's kind of similar. UConn's winning with 3 different coaches, and Kentucky winning with 3 different coaches, pretty similar. North Carolina, it's different because they're so spread out, because it was 57. I think Carolina won 57, 80, 82, 93, 05, 09, and 017. So those were all, that was Roy Williams' teams. Those were Dean Smith's teams. Those were Frank McGuire's teams. But Kentucky and UConn, very similar, because Tubby Smith's title is very similar to Kevin. No, I think Tubby Smith is definitely better than Kevin Ollie. Oh, yeah. He's clearly better than Kevin Ollie. He's clearly had more success. But Tubby Smith is not a great coach. So Tubby Smith's title and Kevin Ollie's championship are a little bit similar, because they were arguably somebody else's team. Yeah, no, that's a good point. They were. Tubby, I like Tubby. I thought he did a good job. They gave him such a raw deal at Memphis. That was ridiculous. They ran him out of town. But yeah, they definitely had some more runs. But yeah, and I think, North Carolina having that, Kansas, North Carolina, Kentucky, like those are 3 blue bloods. Like, I think UConn's got to be right there. I'm like, you talk about it. They had so many heartbreaking losses back in the 90s. Again, the crazy thing is, did you ever think Bob Hurley would be cheering? He was doing the UConn chant like that. That's something you never would have ever thought. I know. That was look at the schools that his sons played for. Duke, who was a rival of UConn's, and then Seton Hall, who was a rival of UConn's in the Big East. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy, but yeah, so like it's crazy, but yeah, like you kind of just they've been great since the 90s, and I think it shows that any coach could kind of come in here and be able to win a championship, and UConn's gonna have the resources. They've proven that they are a basketball school, and basketball is number one here. It always has, and it should always matter first. But
Yeah.
look, they should be considered a blue blood right there with the rest of those guys. And I hate the excuse that UConn fans don't understand that basketball was played before the 90s. We understand that, but since then, UConn's been one of the most dominating programs, especially since 99. Yes, they've had their downfalls at times, but when we get into March, we usually have the guards that could go on a run, and it shows being the Big East, because the Big East, it's a basketball conference. And people try to consider Nova, and I get considering Nova, but how do you consider Nova but not UConn? Like, I understand
Exactly.
yes.
Nova didn't win a national title since 2000. I know Nova won. No, Nova won that title in '85. I get it, but they weren't consistently as good as UConn until Jay Wright got there. When Jay Wright got there, that's when they started to develop consistency. Because there was a time between Rowley and Jay Wright where they were a very inconsistent program. But obviously, when Jay Wright got there, they won a couple national titles. But yeah, they were very inconsistent from 1993 to 2000 and 2005. They were very inconsistent.
Yeah, they were. They had a couple down years. They had some pretty good teams back then. But yeah, so Jay Wright, Rowley were there. Nova's one of the best programs, and since I know they struggled this year, but I think Neptune's gonna kind of figure it out there, and Nova's gonna be back. Not to the extent they were under Wright, but yeah, like I think Nova's would be fine. So yeah, you consider Nova a blue blood, which is fine. You got to consider UConn. And I just think, I was surprised Boeheim and Coach K kind of said they were both blue bloods. I know we took 2 away from K. So
I know, exactly. If nice. Coach K is going to say that they're a blue blood, he's definitely saying they're a blue blood. And if Boeheim says it, they are a blue blood.
Yeah. Yeah. So like, I kind of think it's ridiculous that people say we're not, but we got 5. We got more than Kansas. Kansas only has 4, remember?
Yeah.
That's the thing. And Kansas never really had a downfall. They've been really consistent since the beginning of time. So, them in Kentucky, I think they're really only 2 that have been. But yeah, I with the job that Calhoun did here, to put this little, that little place, Stores, Connecticut, on the map, they should be absolutely considered a blue blood. It's ridiculous that some don't. So.
And if you've ever been to Stores, Connecticut, you will realize how amazing of a job Jim Calhoun did to put this program on the map. I mean, it is a farm town in eastern Connecticut, and he got kids to play here, which is unbelievable. And that's why when you were hearing his voice during this tournament saying you got something special going, you guys are one of one. When you heard him talk to the team, and you saw him as into this as he was, you knew this team was in really good shape. When Calhoun can respect you, seeing what he's built here, when you get the respect to Calhoun, things are going well.
Yeah, absolutely. He was very involved. I know he was under the weather this weekend, so I think he left Sunday, so he wasn't there Monday, unfortunately. But there was a picture of him yesterday having a conversation with Hurley when they got back to campus. So it seems like he's doing well. But yeah, Calhoun was around, which is great to have, and a lot of those kids understand that the role that Calhoun played here and just how important a figure he is. And yeah, it was awesome to have him. And yeah, when Calhoun was saying those speeches there, talking to the team, that guy knows what he's talking about. And to just have that voice too, for a guy that kind of has meant so much to the program, to kind of have, this team's back, I think kind of meant a lot. And again, a ton of former guys were there. Like I know Hawkins said, I think he talked to Rip in the offseason. He met Ray in January. Like, I think, having all these former guys around the program and, I think really helps some of these guys, that want to make the NBA and kind of understand that, Rip and Ray Allen are, 2 of the best shooting guards, in recent memory. So, yeah, I think the kids, really appreciate that those guys kind of come out and, support them and come back to campus. I know a lot of them work out back, in the summer. They'll come back and work out at Stores.
Yeah, absolutely. It's nice to see again that everybody's buying into the program. It's nice to see, because 5 years ago, before Hurley came, you didn't see this. Now you're seeing everyone buying in, and it's great to see it.
Yeah, absolutely. I said at the beginning, I didn't think think we'd ever get back here. I really didn't. They were finished 9th that year in the American. They got bounced by SMU. I remember that Nova team coming to XL Center that January, and they were down 22 at the half. They cut to 16 within 2 minutes, and people were doing the Uconn chant. That was the lowest point for me during that stretch. I just felt like we're down 16 still. And that Nova team, you knew that they had no chance of coming back. I was just like, we're happy down 16 at Nova. Like, what has happened to us? And that was 4 years removed from a national championship.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But, actually, the last thing is, when we're talking about foreign play, the guys who were here that began under Ollie, were here beginning of Hurley's tenure at the end of Ollie that stuck around and kind of helped, they helped build this foundation for this team. And
like the guys like the world, like
the
Whaley, Vital,
absolutely.
Vital, wasn't Pauly too? Pauly, yep.
Yeah, I'd even put Boaknight in that, kind of building what this team's become. Like, a lot of those former guys deserve a lot of credit that stuck around during the bad times and kind of helped put this thing back on the map. So, as we talk about former players, those guys should get a nod as well.
Absolutely. Just a great run for the Uconn Huskies, and there's a lot of great things to come for this team. But the Lakers have a huge game tonight. They've been red hot, and they're very, very close to avoiding the play-in tournament. But before we talk about the Lakers, we're going to hear from our friends at JPEG Financial and Shamrock Home Inspection.
Do you have a 401k and some savings for future retirement, but don't even know if it's enough to live off of? How much is enough? How often are you thinking about it? The team at JPEG's Financial Group can help set your mind at ease. We specialize in creating strategies in the planning and managing of your financial, educational, and investment needs. We help clients pursue their investment goals with sound financial strategies. You deserve a personal, tailored plan. Lasting, meaningful, and open relationships are the foundation of our practice. You've worked hard for your money and should feel confident in your investment choices as you make decisions for your financial future. Your goals are our goals. We are dedicated to your needs and hopes for your future. Visit our website and give us a call at 860-430-5397. Securities offered through Raymond James Financial Services, Inc., member FINRA, SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through Raymond James Financial Services Advisors, Inc. JPEX Financial Group, LLC is not a registered broker-dealer and is independent of Raymond James Financial Services. JPEX Financial Group is located at 78 Eastern Boulevard, Glastonbury, Connecticut. There's no bigger investment than home ownership. And to make sure the house is up to your standards, you need a professional to look it over. Brian Flanagan from Shamrock Home Inspections is a licensed home inspector and a member of the Connecticut Association of Home Inspectors. Brian was a contractor for over 15 years, so he knows how homes should be constructed and how mechanicals should work.
What makes me a good home inspector was the 20 years that I was a home improvement person, doing all the different repairs that I have done and what other people have done wrong that I had to go out and fix. So I have a pretty quick eye on seeing what's right and what's wrong. Before you move, call Shamrock Home Inspections.
Before you make the biggest investment of your life, call Brian Flanagan from Shamrock Home Inspections at 860-268-2566 or visit shamrockhomeinspectionct.com.
They're trying to avoid the play-in tournament right now. They're currently, I think, in 6th or 7th, but they have a humongous game tonight with the Clippers. It's a humongous game. Let me tell you something. AD and LeBron got to play in this game. If they're sitting out this game, they lose this game. I don't think they're going to get into the play. I think they're going to have to play in the play-in tournament, and then they got a very, very difficult time getting to where they want to go to. So I don't want to hear about the back-to-backs with AD. AD has got to be on the court tonight, and so is LeBron. Those two guys got to be on the court tonight because I will be ripping those two guys if they're not playing in a game like this. This is the biggest game of their season. This game could dictate what happens to them in the playoffs. They got to be playing tonight, and they need this win. For me to think they're going to get in the top 6, they need this win. I understand they want to avoid the number 5 seed. I understand they don't want to play the Suns in the first round. But if you look at every team that has played in the play-in tournament hasn't gotten out of the first round. So I know you want to avoid the Suns, but the best chance you are going to have to get to the NBA Finals and win another for LeBron to win another championship is to get into the top 6. So there is no way LeBron and AD should not be playing tonight.
Yeah, especially the way AD's been playing really well lately. So yeah, for those two definitely got to be on the floor tonight. Um, yeah, it's a big game. You're playing the Clippers, who you're tied with right now. In that 6-7 spot, and yeah, it's a huge one because if you're right there with the Warriors, the Pelicans tonight play the Grizzlies. That'll be a tough one for them, but they didn't play well last night against Sacramento. But yeah, the Lakers, they definitely need LeBron, AD, especially the way Anthony Davis has been playing. He's been, I'll give him a lot of credit. He's been playing really, really well lately. They need him on the floor tonight. LeBron as well. I know, I know it's a back-to-back, but it's such a big game. And yeah, I know everybody wants to avoid the Suns at that, playing in that 5 seed spot. But yeah, the way the Lakers been playing, I think they got a really good shot to finish 5th or 6th. But yeah, it'll be tough out if AD and LeBron don't play tonight. It'll be tough to get into that spot. But the way those two have been playing, I think you give it a go tonight because as you mentioned, you lose, you play in the play in. Yeah, it's tough to get out of that round or out of the first round. So I think those two definitely have to be on the floor tonight, and that gives that best, and that will give them the best shot to win the game tonight. So yeah, with the Lakers because they're probably because they're not a great 3-point shooting team, so they gotta they really need Anthony Davis inside to help that team out, help the Lakers out, and gives them the best chance to win.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. And let me tell you something. If you look at the schedule for the 3 teams, the Clippers, Golden State, and the Lakers. If the Lakers lose tonight, it's going to be very hard for them to get in because you look at the last 2 games for Golden State. They got Portland in their last game, but they should win. Dame's not playing, and then they got the Kings at the Kings. I think they win that game because the Kings got pretty much everything locked up. They already won the Pacific Division. They're probably going to be the number 3 seed. So I think they're going to win their next 2 games. They're going to finish 44-38. Say the Lakers lose to the Clippers. The Clippers have Portland and then Phoenix, and they got the tiebreaker on the Lakers. Let me tell you something. If the Lakers don't win tonight, I don't think they're getting into the top 6 of the playoffs, and I don't think they're making a run. I don't think they're making a championship run. I think this game is humongous tonight. It's a must-win game for the Lakers. They have to win this game tonight.
Yeah, they absolutely do. It is totally must-win. Because it's going to be tough. It's going to be an uphill battle because you got the Suns and the Jazz still, but the Suns are locked there in the 4. But yeah, I expect KD to kind of continue to play and continue to kind of gain some chemistry with these guys. So Phoenix ain't gonna take it easy on you, and the Jazz have kind of been a tough out all year. Like they're not great, but they continue to play hard every night. So those aren't going to be 2 easy games for them. So yeah, the Lakers they got to win tonight to kind of avoid that, and they'll definitely be in trouble. If they go down tonight with a loss.
Now the big question is are the Lakers going to avoid playing in the play-in tournament? And I think no, because I don't think they win tonight. I can't trust the fact that AD and LeBron that AD is going to play. I just can't trust the fact that AD is going to play. So I think they lose tonight, and I think the Clippers win out. And I think that looking at their schedule with Portland and then Phoenix has pretty much everything wrapped up. And I think the Golden State wins out. So I think Golden State and the Clippers get the 5 and the 6 seeds. And I think the Lakers are going to finish in the 7 spot, 7 or 8 spot. I don't think the Lakers avoid it. But it's all going to come down to tonight. If they win tonight, I think they avoid it and they get into the top 6. But if they lose tonight, I don't think so. So I think that right now, personally, I don't think they avoid the play-in tournament. But if they win tonight, I think they do.
Yeah, I'm with you. If they win tonight, they're in. I think if AD plays tonight, I think they win. If I'm with you, but if not, I think they lose. I don't think they get in. And yeah, that'll be the big issue. I know with the Warriors, the Kings, I know still have an outside chance to get to 2. If they win tonight and the Grizzlies lose the Pelicans tonight, the Kings are 1 game back and they have the tiebreaker. But if both teams kind of win and the Kings lose tonight, Grizzlies win, then yeah, I don't think the Kings play for anything much Friday night. But so there's still an outside chance that the Kings can get the 2 seed. But yeah, I think it's very unlikely. But so yeah, we might give the Warriors a game Friday night, depending. But anyways, I think Lakers. AD plays tonight. I think they win. And I think they get out of that playing round. But yeah, if he doesn't play tonight, I think the Clippers take him down, and the Warriors and Clippers stay at 5 and 6.
Yeah, huge game tonight between the Lakers and Clippers. But now we'll transition to the Mavs, and right now the Mavs have been playing absolutely terribly. But the thing is the Thunder are not playing well either. They're doing everything they can to give up the 10 seed. It's like the 10 seed that nobody wants right now. But the big question is can the Mavs avoid the play-in tournament? That's the big question. And for me, I don't think they do. I think they're playing so poorly. I think this match between Kyrie and Luka has been terrible. But everything with Kyrie has been a disaster ever since he left LeBron. I mean, this guy does not make teams better. He makes every team he goes on. I'm not arguing his talent. He's one of the most talented players in the game, but he makes every team worse. And people need to start mentioning that. Every team he's on, he makes them worse. It all started with Cleveland when he didn't want to play with LeBron. Then Boston, you saw him hold Tatum and Brown back. You saw what happened with the Nets. I'm telling you, there is no way that if the Mavs don't make the play-in tournament, there's no way the Mavs should give this guy a contract. There's no way that should happen. I mean, he's Kyrie. Just what he does. He destroys teams. He destroys chemistry. He makes things toxic, and he's done that with the Mavs. And I think OKC, because they have something to play for, I think they beat Utah and Memphis. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if the Mavericks did get the 10 seed because OKC's not playing well either. But the way the Mavs are playing, I don't think they get into the play-in.
I don't think so either. Yeah, because you mentioned Kyrie's been a total disaster. So since they acquired Kyrie, they're 8-16, and when Kyrie's in the lineup, they're 7-12. Like that just kind of proves it. There's no depth to this team. And yeah, I was reading yesterday that it sounds like that's going to happen. I totally disagree with that. I don't get it.
If I'm Luka, I want out then. I'm demanding a trade. I'm getting out of there. Yeah. I'm getting out of there. And I want to go to Denver to go play with Jokic. I want to go try to win a championship. This is ridiculous. That organization wants to re-sign Kyrie Irving. If I'm Luka Doncic, I'm getting out of there immediately.
Yeah. Did you hear what he said? Was it yesterday or Sunday? He said, I miss playing with Jalen Brunson. Maybe he'll force his way in New York.
That might have been a mistake. I thought that Brunson wasn't a good enough two to get the Mavs over the hump, looking at the conference finals last year when they lost to the Warriors, and really the Warriors were clearly the better team. But now you start to realize the Warriors were clearly better than everybody in the West last year. So maybe that'll end up being a mistake because Brunson's had a really good year with the Knicks.
Yeah, he absolutely will. Maybe he has to go play with Brunson in New York. Maybe he goes join forces there. I know that for with the Knicks, but yeah, I don't. This team just doesn't. The Luka comments we talked about last week. It just doesn't seem like he enjoys playing with Kyrie. Why is that going to change? I don't. Again, yes, they could beat the Kings tonight. The last two times they played, a couple months ago, right when they acquired Kyrie, they played well those two nights. But yeah, I don't see it the way they've been playing. They don't have much depth, so I just don't think those two like playing with each other, and I don't think that's and with 3 games left, I don't think that's gonna change now. Why would it really change now? I don't. And yeah, Kyrie's just been a toxic mess wherever he goes to, and that's been the big issue. And as you mentioned, it's disappointing because he's got so much talent, but he's just stuck in his own ways and his head, and it's ruined his career big time. And
exactly.
It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate for him.
It's unfortunate because he was one of the most talented players I've seen. He hit one of the biggest shots in the history of the NBA. And look at ever since that shot, look at where his career has gone. Completely downhill. It's sad. This guy was a number 1 overall pick, and it's just sad. And I don't think it's ever going to get better. That's why there's no way, if the Mavs want to compete for a championship, there's no way you should have that guy in your locker room. But it looks like the Mavs are going to make a mistake. So if I'm Luka, I want out of here.
Yeah, I don't blame you. And yeah, if I was the Mavs with that money, I would go find Luka a number 2 that he wants to play with, or a bunch of depth guys, or a bunch of guys that aren't number 2s, but a bunch of guys that are good enough around that could kind of help do enough to help Luka maybe get to that next step. So yeah, I'm with you. I would not spend the money that they're going to spend on Kyrie to bring him back. I just think that'd be a giant mistake for that organization.
It absolutely would. So last night, the Celtics were still competing for the number 1 seed, but Joel Embiid had a humongous night, scored 50 points. And the big question right now is Embiid the clear favorite for MVP? And Doc Rivers said after the game, if the race should be over. And I agree. I think he should be the MVP. I know that doesn't mean you're the best player in the game. I know that, but I know it's a regular season award. So if it's a regular season award, I know I would take guys over Embiid. I'd take Jokic over Embiid. I'd take Giannis over Embiid. I'd probably still take Steph over Embiid. I'd probably still take KD over Embiid. You could argue Embiid's not even top 5, but He's been so dominant in this year. He's averaging 33 points a game. He's close to what Shaq and Wilt have done. He's been as dominant as that. Now, the big question is, can you win a championship with him being your best player? That's the big question. But he's been so dominant that, and the MVP is a regular season award, that to me, he is the MVP. He should be the clear favorite.
I still go with Jokic. I know Embiid's been nasty, and I get that. And I think there's definitely maybe some voter fatigue with Jokic, but the guy's just such a special player. I know he doesn't average 33 like Embiid does, but again, the guy's kind of plays like a point guard. The guy, I know he's not, he just averages 10 assists a game. He averages 12 rebounds. He's such a special player, and like the Nuggets, have been clearly the best team in the regular season all year long, and he's been a huge part of that. And even last year when Murray was out, they had all those injuries. He was still unbelievable all year. Embiid's had a really good year, but then and the other one is too, like, he didn't play a couple weeks ago against when they played the Nuggets. It was a load management day. It's like, why? Maybe I would have voted for him if he played that game. I just play that game, like play against Jokic. So I gotta take Jokic still over him. Embiid's had a great year, nothing to take away from him, but I still like Jokic to win the MVP.
Yeah, and I know that I think voter fatigue is an issue with Jokic, because Jokic does make players around him better. And the only reason they went one and done in those playoffs is because they didn't have Murray, or they didn't have Michael Porter Jr. in either of those playoff series the last 2 years. And last year he played the Warriors, which they pretty much played the best team in the Western Conference. So yeah, I think it definitely is. Or no, they did. My bad. They did win a playoff series against Portland. Yeah, but the reason he hasn't had as much success in the playoffs is he hasn't had his guys around him. Now he's got his guys around him. Yes, there's a lot of pressure on him in the postseason, especially if they get the Suns or the Warriors in the second round. There's a ton of pressure on him to get to the finals and win a championship this year. But I do think Embiid, I do think Jokic does do a better job of making guys around him better. But the MVP is a regular season award, and I think that there's voter fatigue. That's why I think they're going to give it to Embiid.
Yeah, I can totally see that. Yeah, the voter fatigue is a big one. Yeah, the way Embiid's kind of been playing, he's a dominant force. Boy, he had 52 last night. Like, again, that's that's such a dominant performance. I just, like, part of me too is because I'm not a big fan of the load management thing. It's like, if he went up against Jokic last week or 2 weeks ago, whenever they played, and again, he played really well and he put up like 30, 20 and it's something like that, I would take Embiid over him. But I just can't because of that. There's such a big part to me. I am not big in the load management stuff, and in a spot like that where you're going up against a guy that's won the last 2 MVPs, play the game, go up against him. That to me, that's kind of where I am, and why I still kind of go with the Joker.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting race between those two for whoever wins the MVP. But we'll talk about the 6th seed in the East and who's going to get it, the Nets or the Heat. And let me tell you, if you're like the number 2 seed, the Celtics, you definitely want to get a rematch with the Nets, because you're facing a team that traded Kevin Durant. You're basically facing a team in a rebuild. The only reason they're even probably in the playoffs, this team, is because they had Kevin Durant for most of the season. If they didn't have KD, this team wouldn't even be in the playoffs. So, but looking at what the teams have left, I mean, the Nets have Detroit, Orlando, and Philly in a game that probably won't matter. And then you look at the Heat, they got Philly, at Philly, Washington, Orlando. I do think the Nets, even with the 1-game lead and the tiebreaker, I think they get the number 6 seed, and that's going to be, and the Sixers are going to get lucky because they're going to get a Nets team that is not definitely not as good as the Heat. And say the Heat win that game on Tuesday and play the Celtics, I think this definitely could determine that second round series, because I think whoever gets that 2 seed is going to definitely have a tougher first round series. Assuming the Heat get the 7, that's going to be a tougher first round series than the 3 seed.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially the way that he gave the Celtics a run for the money last year and took a lot out of them in that series in the conference finals. So, yeah, absolutely. I think if you're the Celtics, yeah, you much rather see the Nets than the Heat. But yeah, I'm with you. I think the Nets find a way to get that 6th seed because their schedule, yeah, with the Pistons coming up and the Magic. I know they got the Sixers, but the Sixers is pretty much locked in for that 3 spot. So, I can't, and with the Heat, I know they still got like the Wizards and Magic as well, but I think the Nets find a way to hold on, finish out, get that 6th spot somehow, and and yeah, I know the Celtics will be a little bit disappointed that they're probably going to have to face the Heat in the first round, which will make things very difficult first round matchup. But yeah, I don't see the Nets, even for kind of the talent. I know they shut down Ben Simmons, but I don't see them losing that 6th spot as well.
Yeah, not at all. But it looks like it'll be an easy series for the Sixers when they play in the playoffs. But we're going to wrap up this show talking about Mac Jones and the Patriots. And there were rumors that Bill Belichick was shopping Mac Jones around, according to Mike Florio. There were rumors that he was shopping Mac Jones around. And the big question is would you trade Mac Jones in the 14th pick for Lamar Jackson? I think this is an obvious one. Absolutely. I don't know why. If they don't want Mac Jones, if Bill Belichick wants to trade Mac Jones, I don't get why you wouldn't want a clear upgrade at quarterback in Lamar Jackson. I don't understand that. I think you absolutely trade the 14th pick in the draft and Mac Jones for Lamar Jackson. I think it's pretty obvious that you do it.
Yeah, I think you would have to, but because it's a clear upgrade at quarterback. Will definitely be, but because for me, and they popped up on my phone a little bit ago. Notification was from The Athletic. It was it was NFL exec saying that the Patriots aren't shopping Mac Jones, because I didn't totally buy the Florio report, because in my theory, it just doesn't make sense for Bill. Because why would Bill, unless if Bill thinks that Mac Jones stinks, why would he trade him on a team friendly deal? That's the only thing. That's not a Bill thing to do. That's the only thing why I kind of hesitated on that report. But look, if it would happen, and yes, they could get Lamar for Mac in a 14th overall pick, I would absolutely take it. I like Mac. I hope that he figures out. I hope Bill O'Brien come in there and they could find a way to kind of help improve Mac Jones. But yeah, if you have a shot for Lamar, it makes you right then and there back kind of being a Super Bowl contender. And again, I love Mac, but he's not going to bring us to a Super Bowl this year. So yeah, I would think you'd have to go Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, it's the difference between hoping you have a guy and knowing you have a guy. I think it's pretty obvious if these reports were true, they were shopping Mac Jones around. You have a guy in Lamar Jackson. I know you got to pay him a ton of money, but you have a guy for the next decade who's going to be your quarterback. It would make a lot of sense to just trade Mac Jones in that first round pick for him.
Yeah, no, it absolutely would. It would, because you bring in a guy that has won an MVP. He's a guy that we've seen in Baltimore not have the greatest wide receiver weapons either, and that really hasn't bothered him. Now it helps that there's no Mark Andrews on this team, but there's but yeah, it would definitely be an upgrade, and that's that's the thing. It would definitely be where Mac, you're still kind of hoping, you're still trying to, because this is the make or break year for Mac. This is kind of the year where you figure it out if he's the guy or not moving forward. And you already know in Lamar that he could be the guy. And you can have him for the next decade. You take that chance and you bring him in.
Yes, and the next one is, would you trade Mac for a top 10 pick? So try to trade with the Colts or the Falcons to get one of the quarterbacks, the top 4 quarterbacks. And I'd say absolutely not, because the problem is the top 2 guys, the two things that are the closest to a sure thing in this draft, Stroud and Young, are going to go to the Panthers and the Texans. So you would be stuck with Levis, who was very up and down his pro day, and Richardson, which is a project. So then you're pretty much just resetting the clock if you draft one of those 2 guys. So I would say absolutely not. I would not trade Mac for a top 10 pick.
Yeah, I'm absolutely with you. I wouldn't either. Yeah, you're starting over again. Again, we've talked about the offensive issues. Why force a rookie into that spot where we saw Mac do okay with it, but you don't know if Will Levis or Anthony Richardson is going to be. We don't know if I don't expect those 2 to put us in a playoff in the rookie year. So yeah, absolutely. I would not trade a top 10 pick for Mac Jones to go get another rookie quarterback. It just would not make much sense.
Absolutely. It definitely would not. But that's going to wrap up this edition of Sports Talk with R&J. For Justin D'Onofrio, I'm Steve Risser. We will be back, though, in 5 minutes talking about the Yankees, the first week of the Yankees and Red Sox seasons, and if the pitch clock and the new rules are good for baseball. So make sure you tune in for that.
Jones on first down, wide open, it's Barkley. And Saquon Barkley will take it into the end zone.
Your best ability is availability. Saquon Barkley, He's great when he's on the field, but the problem is since 2018, he hasn't been healthy for this team.
Look at this. They lob it to him. He taps it in off the glass. How about that?
Porter Moser, I think right now is the best coach in college basketball, hands down.
Vince 2 for 3. He's done his part.
Pitch is drilled to deep right field toward the pole, and it is gone.
They don't mind not being what they were in the 90s as the best organization in baseball, because the Yankees are not. They're even close to the best organization in baseball.
You're trying to be the Rays, and the Rays do this for a reason. Like, you're the Yankees.
Hello, my name is Joe Aguirre. I'm the president of Clovercrest Media Group. And here at CMG, we have a wide variety of podcasts, including sports shows like Keys to the City, The Roll Call, Throwing Jabs, All Four Downs, and Jawing About the G-Men. And great true crime shows like Sticky Week, Crimes and Consequences, Ivy League Murders, and Bird, the unsolved murder of David Eichmann. You can find all these podcasts and so much more by visiting clovercrestmedia.com.